This is an appropriate place to start our Walk 1 tour of Kirkmuirhill in Blackwood. "120 years or so later, our men's shed had begun its journey. Thornton Cottage, around 1910 to 1920, was the home of the White family and then the Paul family, who ran the Blackwood Arms. Later, the cottage would become a doctor's surgery for several years, but then become a private residency once again. This is Thornton Road in the 1950s, with its famous monkey puzzle tree. The cottage on the left was the last building to be demolished in the row, eventually making way for what is now the shopping area, community centre and of course our men's shed. The building on the right was the local co-op, or the Auchenheath Cooperative Society as it was then known. In the 1990s, Smith's service station could be found in Thornton Road. Today the garage no longer exists and has become Ferguson's Yard. This is Arthur Kirk's house at Kirkmuirhill Cross. On the left-hand side of the photograph, just out of frame, was the telephone box. Is anyone old enough to remember buttons A and B? The block of flats is now on the site. In the 1950s, to the left of the cross on Straven Road, the tenement building was known as the Hounds Ditch. The building was demolished around 1960, but in its heyday it had outside wash houses where women did their washing using coal-fired hot water boilers before wringing out the washing using mangles. Today the site overlooks the double mini roundabout at the cross. This is the West End around 1920, long before the new M74 was built. There was no motorway flyover at that time, but by the mid-1960s that had all changed with the ever-expanding road networks. The cottages are much as they always were, but there are plenty more cars on the road now, and the restaurant has acquired new owners and many new names over the years, such as the Bent Bray, the Greyhound, the Poachers and the West End. The Blackwood Arms on Straven Road and Vere Road was the stagecoach stop from Glasgow to Carlisle, and at the rear were the stables which, until the 1960s, was used as a cellar. Vere Road was the main road to and from Glasgow and Carlisle until 1820, when the Blackwood Bridge was built by James King to a plan created by the engineer Thomas Telford. Kirkmuirhill Cross has changed a great deal over the years, but continues to be a popular meeting point for many local residents even today. In season 1951-52, Kirkmuirhill Juveniles won the Scottish Juvenile Trophy, which can now be seen in the Hampden Museum. This photograph shows the Victory Parade which took place along Vere Road. This is the old post office on Vere Road. Originally it was the Kirkmuirhill branch of the Colburn Cooperative Society, which was the earliest co-op in Kirkmuirhill. In later years, around the 1900s, the co-op moved to the building that housed the butcher and grocery shop, which had a separate drapery department next door. John Miller was village postmaster from the late 1920s onwards. John was born in Steele's Building, later known as the Hounds Ditch by locals, and was one of 10 children. At one point, he was also the pit fireman at Auchenheath Pit, until an explosion blew 2 fingers off his right hand, which put paid to his mining career. He then became postmaster until his death. Jimmy Reston was also the village postman. Jimmy was also a poet and wrote various poems, many of which he arranged to well-known tunes. One such poem celebrated the Kirkmuirhill Juveniles Cup victory in season 1951-52. I was aye fond of sport and a keen football fan, so I follow my team wherever I can. We've our ups and our downs, and our downs and our ups, but we've mair ups than downs, for we've lifted 4 cups. Oh, the Hill Juvies for me, the Hill Juvies for me, 'tis the finest wee team we ever did see. Supporters may craw, and about their team blaw, but the Hill Juveniles are the best of them all. This is the poultry farm hen houses owned by Andrew Allen around the year 1930. In the 1800s, it was the site of a clay pit and tile works that produced pipes for local farms. Today, the site is occupied by Brian Smith's Garage and Clydeside Trading Society, who make garden supplies. The Arcadia Picture House was built in the 1930s by Mr John Reid on the spare ground next to his home, which was a single-storey cedarwood house nicknamed the Bungalow. The last owner of the Arcadia was Mr John Hunter. Sadly, the Arcadia went into receivership between 1962 and 1963 due to the lack of audiences and the growing popularity and availability of television, which by 1962 was very much in vogue. Following its closure, the Arcadia was taken on by the Kirkmuirhill pensioners, and around 1970 the site of John Reid's house became a bank, and eventually the cinema building itself became the Labour Club, which at that time was a major social hub for the village. This is Baxter's sawmill around the 1900s. Today a gospel hall is on the site. Mr Baxter's son eventually emigrated to New Zealand with his family, where he opened another sawmill. When building the gospel hall and surrounding houses, construction workers encountered major problems due to the fact the ground was unstable thanks to the high levels of sawdust that remained in the old pits. Atlas Hydraulic Loaders on Vere Road opened in 1968, employing many local men in the production of lorry-mounted hydraulic loaders. Our shed member Willie Morton's car can actually be seen in this photograph. The factory was closed down in the mid-1980s and the site is now a residential housing estate. This is Blackwood Victoria Bowling Club around the early 1900s. The tree in the photograph still stands to this day, but the fruit growers are a thing of the past. In the 1950s and the 1960s, Blackwood Cottage was the home of Mr. and Mrs. Marshall and their son Gavin. After university, Gavin became a dentist with his own practice in Hamilton. At the side and rear of the house, there was once an orchard.